so glad to be here. This is my first live stream ever, so to be honest, I don't plan on having too many people pop in, but if they do, feel free to chat and share. I'll be reading your comments, and we're gonna make this the best time we can. So, because this is the first live stream, and I figured that I am rebranding this podcast, so it's a good time for you to get to know me and for me to get to know you. I would start by describing some of my favorites. So tonight I'm going to go over my favorite ARG and unfiction project, my favorite creepypasta, my favorite scary show, my favorite cryptid, and my favorite ghost story. And if you're popping in late to this and you see the VOD after, feel free to add in some of your favorites. I should I should start this by saying that to me, this podcast is all about stories. Um, I believe in some of the paranormal, and I, funny enough, find the more I look into it, the less I actually end up believing in the paranormal. But I'm still having so much fun because I think finding out the reason behind these creatures, uh, abilities, states of mind is so interesting. So I end up debunking myself a lot when like reading into these stories, but as I said, I'm still having a lot of fun. So to me, this podcast is not only if the story is true or not, but also why did we tell the story to begin with? And like the three core things that I do is that I do. Sorry about that. The three core questions that I like to ask myself when I'm hearing about paranormal things is who is telling me the story? Why are they telling me this story? And why are they telling me this story like this? So, this channel is not only going to cover quote unquote real hauntings or real cryptids or real paranormal. I also do want to look into ARGs and unfictions, as well as creepypastas and urban legends, things along that nature. So we're going to get like right into it now. So to start, I'm going to talk about my favorite ARG or unfiction project. And let me start by saying, I should also say that like I want this podcast to also like explain things or be like a reference to some things because I'm learning too. So I want to learn along with the audience. So an ARG stands for an alternate reality game, first and foremost. Take a sip here. So it stands for an alternate reality game. And an unfiction story is in the same vein, but does not have game elements to it. So an ARG and an unfiction story are both stories told online that may originally seem like true creepy things are happening, but when you look into it further, there are game elements into it. So there's something that you need to like solve. While an unfiction story is just a creepy story, but it's immersive, so it's made to feel real. An example of an ARG that a lot of people might know is, gosh, what's like a good one? A Meow Cat had one that went along with it for a while. So there was that one. There's Human Pet. But like, yeah, there's like elements of it that you have to figure out. Like, there's codes that people put into a lot of them, and like, you'll have to go to a different part of a different website to figure out what that code is telling you. And then an unfiction project that like a lot of people know about because it really kind of kicked off analog horror stories in the internet space was Local 58. Now, I am no expert in unfiction or in ARGs. I will say my favorite person to go listen to about that is going to Night Mind, hosted by Nick Nocturne. He does a really good job of breaking things down like that, and he even has a whole catalog of projects so you can like look into different kind of stories that you are like looking into being. I don't know why that's so hard for me to come up with. But yeah, just like looking into different stories about that. And my favorite, I should say I tend to lean towards the unfiction side more than the ARG. I don't have a lot of time to just be looking around for a bunch of things. Hi, Jody, thank you. Hi, Joan, just found your channel through World of Mr. Gray. Love the Theodosia video, or Theodora's video. Yes, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thanks for watching it and coming to this live. We're talking about some of my favorites because I'm a new channel, just to get to know myself, but also to get to know you. So if you have any favorites you'd like to mention along with this live, feel free. Thanks for joining, Jody. So yeah, actually going into my favorite unfiction, it's actually more of an ARG. But I really like this story of Welcome Home. Now, Welcome Home is a story that is about a fictional cartoon. It was a puppet show that was done in the 70s, and it has become now lost media. And the Welcome Home restoration team is looking into finding these items and restoring the show. But like no one really seems to remember the show except for a few people. And they're put up this website and weird messages start to come through the website. The least famous my autocorrect. LL. Yeah, Jody. No, I am also dyslexic, so sometimes autocorrect does me real dirty, and I can't turn it off because I kind of need to rely on it just a smidge. But I totally feel that. So no one can really remember this, and they keep getting these like letters and packages into the restoration project, and they have black goo on them. And people start to act weird in the restoration project. They're like, there's this like phone, like toy phone they find, and it won't stop ringing. But like, not to everyone, only to people who've like touched this black goo. And the reason I just love it so much is that it is so creative. And the website will go, so it's based on like a website, and the website will go through updates, and they'll do like a Christmas update or a Halloween update. I'm actually going to soon switch to the screen and show you their spring update. It's a multimedia project, and I mean that like in the way that like, yeah, there's art on the website and it's gorgeous, honestly, but also like they make like real projects and like real sculptures and like real puppets to also like show this, like to make the show come to life. And there's also fully voice acted, and the voice acting is really really cool. So if you want to like look into this more, I don't want to talk too much about it or go too much into detail, because I want to reserve for doing like an episode about it. But if you want to see like the timeline and know the theories behind it, I highly suggest going to, as I said, Night Mind, Nick Nocturne. He also has a whole summary of what has happened, because it started in like February of 2023, and it's still going now. And then also Game Theory has a whole bunch, and I think they actually just wrapped up their thing and they put out a new video. So they wrapped up their whole theory, I should say, about it up until this new spring release. So I should also mention the main character is Wally Darling. And Wally is usually the head of the website, but recently he has gone missing and he is no longer on the website. But I'm just going to take you through it. I'm going to show you the website, and I'm also going to show you a few of the character sheets just so you can see like how much detail and love is put into this. So, if I was going to share, how am I going to do that? Share. screen. Window. Here we go. There we go. So as you can see, welcome home. Here it is, fully animated as well. And it's springtime, so there are little like flowers everywhere, which I think is just so cute. And then if we click on it, we enter this website. And look how just gorgeous this website is. You have all these things, and you have this about section. You have all this artwork here. Click on welcome home. And as you can see, so usually Wally would be here, and Wally is actually missing this time. About us, you have this. I'm trying to find, oh, and as I mentioned, there's like black goop. You can see some of it on here. The neighborhood. This is what we're going to quickly look at. So if you look here, you have this whole neighborhood, and it's so sweet. So we're just going to go and click around. You can click here and get full character descriptions. And just quickly, just to show you. I don't know if you can hear that. Ugh. We'll see. I feel like you can't hear that, but he is fully voice acted. And then, so that's Eddie, Poppy, Stan and Big Bird. Sally. Julie, who is makes the flowers bloom, and she's the one that's on the cover right now. Frank. Frank is my favorite character. He's a little grouchy, and he likes bugs. I don't like him because he likes bugs. I like his grouchy and sassiness. And I'm kind of like into his hairdo. I think it's real cool. And then we have Barnaby. And then we have Howdy. Howdy is a caterpillar. As I said, we're just quickly going through this. And here's the thing. So there are actually 9 neighbors. As if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 houses. But house or home, so that's why it has little eyes, is actually also a neighbor. But in here, we have Wally Darling. He's typically the one who's the star of the show. But as I have mentioned, he has gone missing. So that's the latest well, that's not the only latest update, but just so you like understand. I came in late. I'm not sure what site you are showing is, but my squirrel brain loves the look of this. So this is a website called Welcome Home. It's actually the Welcome Home Restoration Project.net. This website was created for an unfiction project. So an unfiction project is basically like a story that's meant to be creepy. So what I'm saying is that Clown, who is the artist who made all of this, has made this to make a creepy story. And this is probably my favorite of this genre that's out right now. As I'm being a little confusing in the way that I don't want to go too deep into it, because I do want to reserve time to go through this whole thing and talk about it on a video. Because yes, it's squirrel brain. Yes, colorful, beautiful. It's supposed to be based on a 1970s look. I think it's gotten the Jim Henderson look down pat. It is just gorgeous. And as I mentioned, fully voice acted. I love this. So that's my favorite ARG/unfiction story. I'm going to come back for a few seconds to hear. The next thing we're going to go into. Oh yeah, you gotta be a creepy story plus art. I know. It's just so gorgeous. And as I said, the voice acting, you just I enjoy animated things. Like I like anime and things like that. So finding some good voice acting is like real hard, especially like ones that don't make you like cringe from hearing it. So beautifully done, really love it, really creepy. There's like different hidden parts of the website. I know Game Theory has a belief that it's secretly a cult that's controlling everything. So, yeah, just different things about cults and things like that. But that's just the theory for right now. But as I said, I want to go into it. Um, Next one I'm going to talk about is my favorite creepy pasta. Now, I creepy at the very basics. Creepy pasta is a copy paste story. It means it's a story that's been copy and pasted over and over and over again. I personally feel creepypastas are the internet generation's version of an urban legend. So, an urban legend is a story that is told verbally over and over again. It never really has like a pure origin. It's always like a friend of a friend said this, or like my uncle said this about his cousin, about yada yada. And at the end, it usually has some type of lesson. Not a party until you get a cold conspiracy theory going. It really is not. You know what? Challenge at your next party. See what conspiracy theory you can get everyone to agree to. But like, make it a fun one. Don't make it one that is mean to other people. Because I feel like a lot of conspiracy theories are just mean to certain people. So, yeah. But this is not on the list of things, but my personal favorite conspiracy theories is that, what is it? Delaware doesn't exist. It's in the same vein of Australia doesn't exist, or I think it's like Sweden or Switzerland. One of them doesn't exist. Norway doesn't exist. There we go. But I like to think Delaware, the state of Delaware, doesn't exist. I don't really know if I've ever met anyone who like I can confirm was from Delaware. So, yeah. Or like birds are actually satellites. I think that one's fun. Let's do those. Those are fun. What was I saying? Oh, creepypastas. Okay. So an urban legend, yeah, it's a story passed on. An urban legend is also just a more modernized version of a folktale, which I'm also really into. But typically at the end, there's some kind of like lesson, or there's a nod towards how a culture is feeling about things. I know I was tuning in to Paranormal Monkey. He recently did one about a bunch of urban legends. And I found it interesting that he was like, there's so many in America. And that is true. And a lot of them are actually because we have a very puritanical culture. Meaning we don't like talking about schmecks. Well, I don't like it. We're not as free as our European counterparts, per se, in that subject. So a lot of urban legends have the setting of a lover's lane, and then something bad happens to the couple. And that's to kind of deter young couples from making love. We'll put it gently. Very gently. So creepypastas is just like another iteration of that, I feel. And then I like this creepypasta. It's called Genetic Memory. And it's my favorite creepypasta because personally, my favorite fear or favorite kind of fear to feel is this suspense. I like the nothing bad happened, but it could have kind of fear. And this does it so well. And I think it's also just like a nice introduction to creepypasta. So I read this back in the day. 15 years ago, because I was probably like starting college. So it's probably about 15 years ago. Smack is copyrighted because I want to start using it in a Is that copyrighted? I don't think it is copyrighted. I I know I usually say schmex mix. That might be more copyrighted. I think you should just drop it into casual conversation. It won't be cool unless you use it an obnoxious amount of times. And then people have to like it, right? That's how we all make friends, right? We just keep saying things and talking to certain people until they're like, fine, you can sit with us. And you're like, oh my God, thank you. I love that. Thanks. So yeah, genetic memory. Sorry. So as I was saying, like it's back when like 15 years ago, and it was the first time I was being introduced to creepypastas, and this was the first story on the web page, and I think like that tone setting that this story does is amazing. So I'm gonna share my screen again. Do 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 do. Screen window. This one. Share. Okay, and I will. Aw, thanks for loving my sense of humor. I try to be funny. It's a coping mechanism. So, genetic memory. Many classic horror icons, such as Geiger Xenomorphs or Silent Hill's Pyramid Head, and other disturbing characters, share common characteristics: pale skin, dark sunken eyes, elongated faces, sharp teeth, and the like. These images inspire horror and revulsion in many, and with good reason. The characteristics shared by these faces are imprinted in the human mind. Many things frighten humans instinctively. The fear is natural and does not need to be reinforced in order to terrify. The fears are species wide, stemming from dark times in the past when lightning could mean the burning of a tree home. Thunder could be the approaching gallops of a stampede. Predators could hide in darkness, and heights could make poor footing lethal. The question you have to ask yourself is this: what happened deep in the hidden eras before history began that could affect the human race so evenly as to give the entire species a deep, instinctual, and lasting fear of pale beings, dark, sunken eyes, razor sharp teeth, and elongated faces? Just be careful out there. Ooh, I still get chills when reading it. So like, yes, we see these characters all the time. I know they mention like Xenomorphs, they mention Pyramid Head. The Pyramid Head doesn't have eyes. But you can think of the creatures in Japanese horror like The Grudge and I'm gonna say the wrong name, but The Ring is the American version of it, and those pale faces and those dark colored eyes. And like some of the answers, seem very surface level. The idea of like, well, pale skin, dark sunken eyes, that could mean illness. So yeah, that would make sense why we would fear that a little bit. And then like the idea of like something with razor sharp teeth and elongated faces. Okay, that's very predator. That's, very wolf-like almost. But like the combination of the two, it does make you question like, is there something out there that resembles that, and that all of mankind has seen and therefore is like an instinctual fear? Or are we all that kind of creative and have all created an amalgamation of these different creatures that we've like seen, and we're like, well, what'd be really scary if we just smash them all together? That'd be real scary. So like it makes me wonder. And like another reason I started this podcast was the idea of like talking about why so many cultures have very similar creatures in them. So like every culture, not every culture, I shouldn't say that, I shouldn't speak in absolutes. A lot of cultures have a witch. A lot of cultures have a werewolf or a vampire or a Sasquatch like creature in them. So like, why? History, science, folklore, ghost stories, best combo to make us think to keep being creative. Exactly. So like that's the other thing. Is it like is it creativity that we have these things? The answer realistically could also be colonization. We know that there are stories that were believed to, especially so I'm in America. We have stories from Native people in North America continent and the South America continent that we know used to be one way. And then conquistadors came in and changed the stories. One of them being parts of these Hispanic cultures had duendes, which is a type of fairy creature. And some duendes are explained now to have dark features and they steal children. But before colonization, these creatures were actually to help with childbirth and were like woodland creatures that would just protect the forest. So, like, you know, making dark features seem evil. That's not just us, or that's not, universal. That's something that came over. So I also find it interesting of like how stories morph to talk about cultural fears and how they're used against even the cultures that they were originally about. And I think it's important to talk about those stories, not necessarily to make people like think something doesn't exist or does exist, but more to honor the original like reason for the story. It does tend to end up debunking a lot of stories, but I think it's just so much fun to figure out why they were being told in the first place. And an example of a story being one thing and then being turned into a different thing leads into my favorite cryptid. So we're going to talk about that for a little bit. So, my favorite cryptid, and mostly because of the bad rap they get, is I love banshees. I think banshees are so interesting. So, banshees, for lack of a better term, is known as like a weeping woman or a weeping fairy, I believe, in like the Gaelica. But essentially, the very base that people will say is that they are these cryptids that come out that look like women and they just scream, and if they scream it means you're gonna die. No. No, 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 no. So, one, they are a fairy. Two, they're a harbinger. The Irish love a harbinger of death. They just want to know when they're gonna die. They just love to know that information. And I'm not saying this. First off, I'm half Irish. Not that really matters. I'm half Irish. I'm American. I have ancestors from Ireland. But they have things like they're the Doulahan, which is a headless horseman figure who tells people when they're gonna die. They have these banshees that tell people when they're gonna die. And they also have like their own version of a doppelganger. And if you see your doppelganger, the only part of them is different is like how you're gonna die. Like it gives you a hint. So they just want to know really, really badly. We need people to look back through colonization to rescue original stories. Thank you. We really, really do. And like I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna be perfect at it. I only speak English, and that does put a disadvantage to like a lot of native stories. And like I'm not talking about necessarily like Native Americans or Native South Americans, but like Aboriginal people, First Nations people in Canada. I only speak one language, unfortunately for a lot of people. So like it's hard to do that, and I acknowledge it. So I'm giving my scouts honor that I'll try my best to find what I can. I do like to share most of the information that I find in general. And I do like to, as I like mentioned at the top of this, I do like to question who's telling me the story. Why are they telling me this story? Why are they telling me the story like this? And not to be a drag, but a lot of it is because colonization, honestly. A lot of the times it's colonization. Oh, so back to my BFF, the Banshee. So she actually um doesn't cause people's death. She just warns about it. And doesn't even warn everyone about it. I think like there's 8 families in Ireland that have a banshee attached to them. So not even every person in Ireland gets a banshee. And what she does is that she like screams. I should also mention that like I'm talking about this from prior research. I don't have the research right in front of me. So if I get something wrong, my apologies. I should also say I have future plans, maybe once a quarter, maybe once a year, who knows, to go back through older episodes. And if I've learned new information or I've been corrected, to do a live stream about going over those corrections. Because as I said, I'm here to learn. And I'm here to learn with you. I'm here to explain with you. We're going to have so much fun. It'll be fun learning. Um, but yeah, so like it's only like 8 families, and she does this thing that's called kerning. And kerning is when people purposely wail at a funeral. And like the louder they wail, the more honored that person was. So that's also why only certain families have a banshee. Because like only certain families deserve to be like mourned that much. And she also doesn't always scream. So that's the other thing. Like she's kerning, she's like weeping. So she'll have like red eyes, like dried lips from like screaming. Family gotta be worth a banshee, as it should be, right? If you're gonna make a woman work, you better be worth it. Um, so she sometimes too, she's not even screaming. Sometimes she appears as like an old woman who's washing clothes at a riverside. And you'll know who is going to die because it's usually not you. It's usually not the person who sees the banshee. And it's kind of like a save the date more, where it's like, hey, Uncle Tommy, he's not doing too good. You might want to call up the family, get them ready to go. But sometimes, so like you can tell who's dying or who's going to die, I should say, because she'll be washing their clothes. So like if you're like, ooh, that's Aunt Marie's scarf, you can send out, you can call the papers. You can tell them, you can ask them how much an obituary is gonna cost. Obituaries cost a lot of money nowadays. They cost a lot of money. I'm almost wondering if it'd be easier if like I got my husband to like rent a like plane that has like the signs on the back and just be like, "Hey, she's gone. You can all come out from hiding now." Just kidding. He wouldn't say that. No, he wouldn't say that. He loves me. So yeah, I think banshees get such a bad rap because people are like, "Oh no, I'm gonna see a banshee. That means I'm gonna die." No, no. A one fun thing I did learn about banshees too is that they actually, like many other things, might be an owl. So it's the idea that people would be trying to quietly go into battle, and then an owl would fly and like screech, and it would sound like screaming, and it would give away your position, which would mean like death to your group. So that's how that kind of became like a harbinger kind of a deal. So just like really interesting. I might once again go a deeper dive into banshees probably on a live stream. So maybe around St. Patrick's Day our time. Uh Fun fact is that I recently, like this past year, went to Ireland and we had a great time. We actually flew into Edinburgh, Scotland first, and then we took another plane and we landed in Dublin and we rented a car and we did like all of South Ireland. So, like the major big cities. And I drank way too much Guinness while I was there. And now I have a certificate that says I poured a good Guinness, which you can get when you go to the Guinness like plant there, like the Guinness experience there. Which if you're ever in Dublin, Ireland, I highly suggest doing. It was a lot of fun. I thought I was gonna get a certificate that says I could pour a Guinness. And we like recently bought a house like 2 years ago, and we, as a housewarming gift, our friends gave us a kegerator, and I was going to print it out and I was gonna hang it up and be like, look at that, I'm qualified to pour this Guinness. And it doesn't even say that, so we haven't printed it out yet. Had to do obituaries for parents recently. Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. Recommended going through funeral home website and text everyone link. Main newspaper, free announcement is included. Oops, sounding gauche and heartless. All right, no, you're not. Or am I sounding gauche and heartless? I'm very sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean to. I was more mocking myself, not mocking anybody else. I'm really sorry to hear that. That is very rough. Uh yeah. I A lot of like funeral costs are very expensive. Um like unnecessarily so. There's a lot of weird extra fees added and things like that. Adam Ruins Everything did an episode about it, and it like changed my mind on how I want to be treated after death. I've asked my I first off, oddly enough, I think not oddly, morbid enough, I think you should have a plan. I'm gauche and heartless. You're fine. You're not gauche and heartless. Don't worry. Death is natural. People go through it. People deal with it different ways. There are some things about death that are pomp and circumstance, and they seem mundane, which is weird. Um, Especially like putting out a newspaper. That's not part of your grieving process, and it might be for some people, but it's not for everybody. So it's okay. Don't worry about it. No gaucheness here. You're cool. We're cool. But no, I've told my husband that we need to have a plan for what we're gonna do just to make it snappy and easy. I want to be a tree really, really badly. I do plan on going before him because that's my plan because I don't want to deal with anything. And I told him that he needs to go and tell ghost stories under my tree and pretend that it is haunted. I don't care if he needs to fake it. It needs to be a very haunted tree. And that's only funny because he is a non-believer through and through. So he hopefully will do that for me. My parents had prepaid plans. I don't know how I would have handled it if they hadn't. Yeah. It's important to have that plan so that your family members don't feel rushed and pushed into things. And so that also your family members have like time to grieve because it is a terrible hard time to go through. And it it has things have to happen quickly. So yeah. Haunted tree is awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. My whole thing is like I breathe a lot of air. I should probably give some back to the world in some way. My biggest fear is my tree's actually going to be cut down at some point, so I don't know how I get that protection. I got to look into that. Uh, I can't say what he wants to do because I'm pretty positive it's illegal. But the short of it is he wants to be cremated. I'm not going to say what he wants done after. The answer is a no from him, so he has to come up with a different plan. But yeah. That being said, as I mentioned, my favorite kind of haunting is one where, or like I shouldn't say haunting. My favorite kind of scare is one where nothing happened, but it could have. Sorry, I didn't mean to be a downer. Turned into chum and fed to sharks. You're not a downer. We're talking about ghosts. Part of that's death. I don't know if anyone told you, but like you kind of have to die first to be a ghost. Well, you don't always have to die first to be a ghost, but that's a different conversation that I can look into. Like there's several like stories of like people like projecting themselves and like other people seeing them. A lot of the times it involves like nuns and young girls. I am going to specifically do an episode about like why are ghosts and the paranormal obsessed with prepubescent girls. Um Feels like there's an underlying message there, honestly, and I want to look into it and just double check. Just make sure we're all Gucci. We're all good down there cuz I don't think we are. I don't think we are. Chum for Sharks is fun. I do like that. Future ghost with a dark sense of humor here. I love that. That's great. if my coping mechanism is making a joke out of something, so like might not always be the best for that. Might be a bad reflection for you, and I apologize. But yeah, also I do love the, I want to feed the earth with my body. You want to feed a shark with your body. And I think that's valid. I think we're both valid in our choices. Um, but okay, so I was gonna say my favorite scary show. So I'm actually going back. I don't like scary movies, to be honest with you. First off, I'm not a huge movie person. It takes a lot for me to like agree to sit down and watch a movie. I don't know why. Because I have been known to watch 5-hour long YouTube videos about niche subjects that I don't care about. Humor as coping, come sit next to me. Ooh, I will. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. See, this is what I was saying. I just annoy you till we're best friends. See? um, so like I don't like I don't like movies. I'll watch a 5-hour long YouTube video about a niche I don't even care about. I just want to know something about it. I just like when people like talk about their interest. I think that's really fun. And I also don't like gore. Like I'm really bad with gore, and I feel like a lot of scary movies either rely on gore or jump scares. And like I don't get scared at loud sounds. I just react to loud sounds, and it's not pleasant. Um I should also say for the most part I don't like zombie movies. Don't like zombie movies because I don't like humans attacking other humans and like resource guarding, which is like basically what all zombie movies come down to. It's not the zombies, it's how people treat each other. And I don't like zombie movies for the same reason I don't like war movies, because like it feels icky and I don't like it. And it gives me anxiety, so I don't watch them. That being said, my favorite scary show, and this is me being a basic biddy, I know, is Haunting of Hill House. I love Haunting of Hill House. So, as I mentioned before in this, I really like the content creator Nick Nocturne. And Nick Nocturne talks a lot about an earned jump scare. He's like, there's a lot of like big clappy sounds, big loud music change, and then like you get jump scared. And after a while, you get annoyed because it doesn't feel earned. And you're like, well, yeah, great, sure, whatever. Thanks. I prefer psychological and supernatural horror. Yes. So like, yeah, you have a jump scare and like it keeps happening. my example of this too is like the new, not the new, it's not new anymore. It came out when I was in college, Jesus. But the revamp of it, like it was just after a while, it was jump scare after jump scare after jump scare, and I was like, I'm not scared, I'm just reacting. So, Haunting of Hill House for the win. I know, is great. So, how do I say this? So Haunting of Hill House has one of the best jump scares ever. It is so well earned. The tension is brought so high. And I know some people really hate the jump scare. I think it's chef's kiss jump scare. It is so perfect. As like the tension is growing so high from, and spoilers, it's been out for a while now. So if you want to go see it, go on Netflix. Spoilers, not really. But the two sisters are having an argument, and the tension is getting brought up because they're fighting with each other. And then all of a sudden, a ghost comes out and screams to bring it back to attention. And the thing is, the jump scare is so good because you're leaning in for the tension of the fight. Your guard is so dropped because you're focusing on the drama that is happening in front of you. And this jump comes out of nowhere, and it's so good. I just love it so much. But the other thing I love about Haunting of Hill House is the scares just keep on giving even once the show is done. And that is because they have hidden ghosts throughout the background of that show. They're the main ghosts, and then they just have these ghosts they never explain. They're just there. And at first, like you might see a couple like, ooh, that's kind of spooky. And then, and I'm gonna show you this article. You see these articles, and if you've seen the show and you haven't seen these ghosts, you like your heart like does a pitter patter. Like it gets real scared. Because like you were like, it's just that feeling of like something could have happened to me. If I was the character, something could have happened to me. It was right there. I thought I was aware of my surroundings, and clearly I'm not. Yeah, it is Easter Egg City. I agree. So I'm just going to go through this Vulture article, and we're not going to read it because I'm dyslexic also. I just want to show you pictures. This is picture book time. So yeah, let's go through this Vulture article. So first off, my first dude right here. Who he? He doesn't belong here. What is he doing? That's scary. Don't like him. Keep going. I don't have an iPhone, so yeah. Ghost under the stairs. Hate him. The man fixing the grandfather clock. Shiver. Yes. So like, but and that's like a very obvious ghost because you're like, oh, that's weird. And I think I know these books are, or I know the shows are based on books. I do have to wonder if the grandfather clock was an allusion to the Perrin family and with the Conjuring house, because there was that story of like the one daughter walking in and seeing like a person working on the house and then realizing later that like there was not a person there. She was like the only one who saw them. So I have to wonder about that. So yeah, just this ghosty hanging out by the stairs. Also, may I mention, pale face, dark sunken eyes. Could be onto something here. This dude, we're focusing on him. No, who's that? Who he? What is he doing? Don't like him. There's two ghosts in this scene, and I'm also even like, even now I'm checking the sides here to make sure there's no one else. But there are two ghosts here. This is such an intense scene. This is like the first scene of the show, and they're running out of the house, and they're already hiding them. This is the rest of the stream. It's just me making sounds at these ghosts. But yeah, no, just there, chilling. This one's out in the field. And like also like once you do see them, if you do a rewatch, you like try to look for them, and now you are like paranoid. You're paranoid that there's something watching you and you have to look. And Mike Flanagan is genius. He is so good. So I actually, Haunting of Hill House is my favorite in that series Haunting of. Bly Manor, I was not a fan of in the way that I felt like I could guess the plot points. And there was some of it that I like wasn't in like love with, that didn't make sense. And then I learned that it was based on the turn of the screw. And I didn't read Turn the Screw, but I had someone talk about their niche interest in it, and it made a lot more sense. And then I had a deeper appreciation of it. The other thing about Bly Manor is that like I thought I saw all the ghosts in the background because like I'm on it, I get it, and then I saw pictures of the ghosts that I missed, and there's one specifically of like a little boy ghost under the kitchen table when they're all having breakfast. Sent me, gone. I was like, I don't know. I'm not fit for the world of Haunting of. I don't belong there clearly because I don't know what's happening. Um and I'll say that I was raised Catholic, so midnight mass was so interesting. And I think I want to do a rewatch of it now. I can't do a rewatch of it now. I don't have Netflix because I was sharing passwords. But I would like to do a rewatch of it, especially with like all the talk of like demons and things like that happening. Because so in Midnight Mass, it's supposed to it has all the like accoutrement of a vampire, but they never say vampire. And Mike Flanagan did that specifically where they just never say vampire. They think it's an angel and or like a demon. And I think that has a lot to say about like how culture is now going through another satanic panic. And mind you, like everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to be satanic panic again. It's going to be satanic panic again." We've had so many satanic panics, but we are going through one now where like there's this like idea of like purity culture and like Gen Z specifically is doing a lot of purity culture as well. And there's also this heightened voice of Christianity coming back and like demonizing the other, not making demons, but literally demonizing others. So I think that's an interesting look. Bly Manor, the living ghost spoiler. Oh yeah. Yeah. Back to that living ghost, as I said. Yeah. Um this person hanging out, don't like them. I really don't like the ones where there's just children in there and it looks like they're all looking. I don't like a lot of them, honestly. Another satanic panic. Time to update my wardrobe. It's okay. Honestly, just like fashion, it comes back around. Just wear whatever you were wearing in the early 2000s if you were alive in the early 2000s. You don't have to tell me. But if you were alive in the early 2000s, just wear that. They're trying to bring, I don't think they are anymore. They're trying to bring back the like low-rise jeans. And I wish they wouldn't. They hurt my feelings once. I don't need them to hurt my feelings again. Um oh, oh no, I don't like her. I don't like the fact that they if they just looked up they could see her. That hurts my feelings. That hurts my feelings. Where is this one? Problem is, I can't see this one. Where does it say it is? Can you even see them? I can't. Okay, well, that will leave me with nightmares tonight. Don't like this person because this person's facing us. Don't like that. No. I'm just gonna keep saying. She's like looking and doesn't see it. This is like the opposite of pareidolia. Like the pareidolia is with like you see faces when they're not there. This is the low rise dreams, true tool of the devil. I hate them. No, they are. They are. They're meant to go into your soul and make you promise things that you wouldn't in order to never have to visit them again. No, I don't like this. No, thank you. Next, please. Okay, she be chillin'. Now these feel, the ones in the background I will take. They feel a little less bad after what we've been seeing. We already saw this. My friend. Where's the, in the main hallway? Oh, right there. Gotcha. Ooh, maybe I should do that on stream sometime. Play observation duty, but I'm actually really bad at observation duty. Uh, so you can see that, but that gets creepy. Don't like you, sir. You can go back to where you were coming from. I don't enjoy that. I don't know. Behind the chair? Oh, this is. Oh, don't reach out to the kids. Don't do that. I don't like that. Please stop. And then, as we said, like, yeah, there's like two ghosts here. One that hangs out there. And, like, get up. Why are you under there? And also, like, I have to wonder what it's like to be an extra in this scene. And, like, also the acting these children do is really, really good considering how many people were just hanging out in the background of these shots. It makes you appreciate this on, like, so many levels. Okay. But as I mentioned, there are a ton of these. He's right there. Oh, he coming in. Oh, he coming to say hi. Oh, no. We don't have to go through all of these. But yeah, so we're almost at an hour. I will probably have to go to bed soon because I'm old. Stop sharing. So for the last thing, I would like to share my favorite ghost story. My favorite ghost story. Now I have to rewatch Hill House. Thanks. You do. You're welcome. I mean, you're not welcome because you have to pay for Netflix, which stinks. Not that I'm saying you should boycott Netflix. I'm not part of whatever bandwagon that is. I'm saying I was sharing a password and now I can't share a password. So I just don't have Netflix anymore. uh my favorite ghost story is that of the Greenbrier ghost. For those who have not heard of the Greenbrier ghost, that comes from Greenbrier County in West Virginia, and you can actually see a historical plaque. And it is, honestly, it is the perfect mix of true crime meets the paranormal. Because this ghost solved their own murder. This ghost solved their own murder. So in 1896, Elva Heister, who had the middle name Zona, married a blacksmith, Irma Sterling Trout Shoe. I'm also reading that I have notes for this because I did talk about this on a friend's podcast of mine once. If you want to see it, it's Crime Cult and Coffee. So good. We had a great time reading this. But so anyway, she marries this guy, Edward. And Edward has had a couple of wives before. And they, like, one died mysteriously. And the other one left and said he's abusive. But poor Zona, she married him anyway. And one day, a young boy comes to the shoe home. And he was sent there by Edward to ask. He was sent there by Edward to ask Zona if she needed something from the store. And when he gets there, he sees Zona is at the bottom of the stairs and her neck is turned in a weird way. And this is like a young boy, so he doesn't know what to do. So he runs to his mother, and his mother goes and calls the police. By the time the police get to the house, Edward has already dressed Zona's body for burial. Because this is during the Victorian era, and there were certain things that had to be worn for mourning. There was, like, specific clothes that need to be worn. And he, like, puts this, like,
heavy collar dress on and like wraps her head in this scarf. And he's like, oh my God, she loved this scarf. And the coroner comes to look at this body of Zona. And he's like, and Edward's at the top of the body. And he's just so sad. He's just so sad. And the coroner's like, my dude is so sad. I can't look at the head. He's just too sad. He's just too sad. So they just buried the body. And Zona's mother is like, hey, I never liked Edward. As a good mother-in-law should think. That's not true. My mom likes my husband. But anyway, as a good mother-in-law should think, she goes, I never liked this guy. So she goes and falls. Oh, so I should also say that the coroner diagnosed, I don't know, was diagnosed, but like claimed that Zona's death was done from the quote unquote everlasting faint. What does that mean? Who knows? But she died from the everlasting faint. And coroner needed a oh my gosh. Yeah, coroner needed a spine and he needed to check the spine. So and her, like, they have her body to be looked at on January 24th, and it was the day after the body was found in her hometown, and the attendees' grief could not even distract from how odd that Chu was acting, so how odd Edward was acting. So like you're supposed to, so in the Gilded Age of America, which is when this was happening, I said Victorians, more the Gilded Age, you're supposed to act a certain way when someone dies. And this is the mourning period. And like there's actual like protocol for how you act when someone passes away. And Edward wasn't doing that. Edward actually seemed a little bit like angry at the funeral. And people were like, you should be a little sad. And he goes, no, I'm be agitated. And for the next 4 nights, everlasting faint, act of God, nut allergy. Who could know? This is going to be such like an out there reference, but wasn't an owl on the staircase? Who could know? Watch the documentary The Staircase to figure out what I'm talking about. Actually, watch the end because I don't even talk about that till the very end. So Mary is Zona's mother, and for the next 4 nights, Mary has a dream about Zona. And each time her dream would play out as followed. A bright light would appear and take on her daughter's human form. The room would then drop in temperature to a chill. Zona would desperately tell her mother her death was not an accident, but a murder, orchestrated by her husband after months of physical abuse. Edward's final attack was a result of the rage he had when he thought Zona had not prepared any meat to go with dinner. Zona would then tell her mother how her neck was squeezed off at the first joint. She would then turn her head completely around, 180 degrees, and she would then turn her body so her feet were facing the opposite direction of Mary and walk away while still being able to stare at her mother. So her head's this way, and she walking this way. Just to drive the point home. So, Mary, her mother, is like, I'm having these crazy dreams. I'm definitely having these dreams. They're definitely dreams, and my daughter's definitely coming to me in my dreams. So, she goes to the prosecutor's office. And let's think about this. It's the late 1800s. She's a grieving mother, and she's now telling ghost stories. Doesn't look too good for her. Doesn't look too good to get justice. So she goes to the prosecutor's office, and she argues with the prosecutor for 3 hours about this. Yeah, hi mom, miss you. By the way, solved my murder. Okay, thanks, bye. Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. So, like, yeah, she goes to the prosecutor's office, yells for 3 hours, gets the prosecutor to agree to exhume the body. They exhume the body and take off the scarf. Guess what? Guess what? Zona's neck was broken due to a traumatic fall. I think it's actually due to strangulation. Um, and so the murder trial began, and Preston, the prosecutor, chose Mary as his star witness. Both legal parties understood how the story would sound. Like, it would sound real weird. But Preston kept his questioning to being about the facts of the case, while the defense team tried to exploit how bizarre her story was. She never changed her story. She kept her story no matter the type of questioning. She kept it to what she knew. And then it convinced the community, the whole community riled around this mother. And it convinced the jury that Zona had come back and now her mother could serve her justice. And Edward was found guilty on July 11th. And he was sentenced to a life in prison. Her mom was a badass mama bear. Props. Exactly. So, this is why I love this story. Because if it's true and ghosts exist, this ghost was like, no, this is not how I'm going out. And they solved their own murder. No victim mentality. Solve their own murder. Beautiful. Perfect. If this story is not true, this mother, like, it's a story of a mother's love. It's a story of a mom who was like, I need to come up with some way to prove that my vibe check on this man is bad. It is in the negatives. It is not good. And I need to get my daughter justice because I know he did it. I know he did it. And she, like, came up with the story even though it was so bizarre, and it worked. And it worked because she had tenacity too, because even if she wasn't believed, she still stood in there for 3 hours and argued. I've been on this live stream now for an hour, just a little over. I had to come up with different topics. This woman stuck to the same topic, her dreams. She stuck to her dreams. That sounds more inspirational than it needs to, but she did. She stuck to her dreams. And I just think it's such a good story. Like, when it comes down to it, it is such a good story. It's either a ghost story or it's a story about a mother's love. And I think that's what we can take away from a lot of these cryptid stories, is that, like, there are cryptid, I should say, but, like, also ghost stories. There's other meanings to them. So, like, what are those meanings? And, like, why are we being told them? And, like, yeah, sometimes you're being told a story for a nefarious reason, and that sucks. Like I just talked about in my episode of The Blue Lady, how I think a lot of those stories are being told to sell paranormal tourism. And it sucks. It sucks to be told that. But it can be fun. You can still enjoy it as long as you understand that that's just entertainment and that's what it's there for. You know, it can suck to be told that things are demons when it's probably just pushing a religious ideology. And that sucks. It does. And I don't think there's anything good about that, actually. I can't think of anything great, because if you're, like, being told you're a bad person just so they can sell a movie franchise, like, I don't think that's good. I wouldn't do that, personally. But yeah, those were my favorite unfiction ARG story, my favorite cryptid, my favorite ghost story, my favorite... What else did I talk about? I talked about a lot. I even wrote this down. Da, 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 da. Oh, my favorite scary show and my favorite creepypasta. Now, I know we only have a few people watching. I would love to take a little bit of time just talk about your favorites. Do any of you have any favorites that you'd like to share? If you don't want to share, that's cool too. We don't have to talk about it. We'll just stare lovingly into each other's eyes just for a little bit. So yeah, I'll give you all just a few minutes. Tell me if you have a favorite anything. Tell me if a favorite Halloween costume or a favorite Halloween event. So many good scary stories. I know. I love a good scary story. And I love knowing why it's scary. And that's the thing. I want to know why I'm scared. Um, I've been talking about this with a couple of people that like I feel there's a lot of things and a lot of stories that happen and people want to blame the paranormal or make it something like bigger than it is. And I think it's okay to just say something's creepy. Yeah, favorite, no pressure. LOL. Yeah, no pressure. You can come up with a different topic. You can what's your favorite Halloween costume? What's your favorite Halloween tradition? What's your favorite fall tradition? What's your favorite Christmas tradition? I don't really care. You can just tell me some of your favorites so we can get to know each other. Like we can get to know each other a little bit. So, or you don't have to. It's okay too. No pressure. I will say, Jody, thank you so much for joining tonight and also for chatting with me. I know there's a few other watchers, but like this feels like we're having just a conversation between you and I'm really enjoying it. I'm pretty sure one of the other people watching is my husband, and he talks enough to me. So, hey, hun, if you're watching. If you're not watching, you probably hear me upstairs. And this is going to be awkward when I'm done later. Let's see. My favorite Halloween. Oh, so back to what I was saying. Sorry. Eyeless53. My favorite costume was Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. Were you both Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy? I want to be clear. Or were you one or the other? And which were you? And I know I'm asking a lot of follow-up questions. Next follow-up question is, did you do the voices of both and or the one you were? Jody. Favorite Halloween tradition, I go to Denver Botanic Gardens Haunted History / Day of the Dead Night Tour. That sounds so cool. I have family that live in Colorado. I have to ask if they do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. When they say Haunted History of the Botanic Gardens, are they talking about like the location? Or like, are they talking about like the haunted history of the flowers? Lanny was Miss Piggy. Oh. I know who this is then. Hello. Eyeless53. I'm not going to say your real name. Eyeless53 and I know each other in person. Did you do the voice? And or did you sound like Jordan Peterson / Kermit the Frog? Okay. And then yeah, do they talk sorry. So do they talk about the haunted location itself, like of the gardens, or do they talk about like the mystical properties of like the plants? Because like that would be cool too to hear about. If that question makes sense. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people blame the paranormal for stuff, and it doesn't have to be paranormal. It can just be creepy. It could just be a creepy coincidence, and that's okay, and that's valid. Gardens built on cemetery where bodies not moved. Ooh, that's spooky. So I went to college in New England, and oh, I'll read your comment section. I know that story. Never mind. I went to college in New England, and they had this building called the Old Chapel, and they had to move it. Like they were gonna like pick it up from the foundation and move it literally down the road a little bit so they could build this new building for the school. And they found a bunch of skeletons underneath it, and it was because back in the day, when there's a medical college there, they were not allowed to be given cadavers, so they did grave robbing and hid it under the floorboards. So they found a bunch of skeletons there. Isla says, no, but I got my booty grabbed in a dance club, though. I've heard this story before. I forgot that was that costume. Jody, haunting mostly. Also elaborate floral altars for Dia de los Muertos garden next to Cheeseman Park. It's Cheeseman Park. I'm scared. They're still finding bones during construction on the Cheeseman Park. What is Cheeseman Park? Wait. Is someone's last name Cheeseman? And how do I become part of that family dynasty? How do I do that? I want to be a Cheeseman. Oh no, I understand what you mean. I'm also white. Dias de los Muertos is probably the best I could say. Don't worry. It's probably me and not you. Even if it is spelt off, it's probably me, not you. Don't worry. But yeah, spelling aside, who is Cheeseman? I need to know. Definitely look up Cheeseman Park, Denver. Big turn of the century scandal, like movie poltergeist. Oh. Okay, I have a running list of future projects, so I will add that to my list of future projects, not products. I'm not making anything yet. No, I'm not gonna make it. Okay, Cheeseman Park. That sounds like a great time with my clacky keyboard. Well, that being said, I have been here for over an hour and I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for joining us, Jody, especially. Thank you for sharing. If you were not able to catch this, I will be cutting it up a bit, trying to make myself sound a little smarter than I actually sounded during the live, and putting it up as a VOD next week. I'm going to try. The schedule is going to be every other week doing a live stream. Lenny wants you to know that she's here too, but she's a loser without YouTube app, so she can't type in the chat. So are you suggesting that I should say all of her secrets now and then she can't deny them? Is that the best course of action? So as I was saying, the planned schedule is to do every other week a live, and then the weeks that I'm not doing a live, putting out a pre-recorded content. So I actually don't have anything this week. Obviously, I'm doing this live. And I'm going to put up the live the next week. And then we're not going to have a new episode until November 4th. But we have November 4th is coming out. And then the week after that, I have all of November pre-recorded. And that's done. And I'm working on a major project for the first week in December. I've actually just finished recording it, and well, not just finished recording it, I just finished editing bits of it, so that's gonna be out and ready to go. So that's super exciting. If I could ask you to do a huge favor, thank you all for coming, and I really appreciate it. Please make sure to like the stream on whatever platform you're on, just so that this can get out. Don't click that link. Don't ever click any links that come out. Oh, wait. What does that do? No. No, don't click that. I got to figure out how to delete spammers on here. My apologies. Anyway, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, but also make sure to like the stream. It really, 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 really helps. If you want to see more of me and hear more of me, but in a more formatted way, I have 3 episodes out that you can listen to now. Be sure to like and comment on those if you do so. And that being said, I'm going to head out. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining. Bye.